All right, guys, just coming live here.
All right.
Good
morning, everybody. We're getting set up. We
think we're
gonna check everything. The colors are popped. We're just getting started here. 034 Motorsport live chat.
All right, 180.
We good?
Yep, I'm good. Can you check Facebook, Sean?
Yeah.
It says live on my end, so I think we are.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're up on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm Javad Kazi. This is Nate Stewart, and we're here to answer all your questions about all things 034 Motorsport. Anything you'd like to know about our products, our services, our history, our philosophy, things we like, you want our opinion on things, please minimize update questions about when things will be done. We're deprioritizing those just so we can get to all the real legit questions.
Everything will be done as quickly as we can get it done.
Yeah, as always. We take a no BS approach to responding to questions and our comments. We like to cut to the heart of the matter, to the facts of the case. If you love us, feel free to let us know. It's always nice to hear, but especially if you don't like us, we need to hear about that so we can talk about it.
Well, just a quick note of gratitude. Yeehaw, brother. Apparently it's his birthday today, and he appreciates us.
Oh, very
waiting
good.
for his birthday. So happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Still bearded.
I am still bearded. I am.
Yeah. Nate's actually getting a real beard.
I know. The wife's been out of town. I figure it's the rally beard.
Oh, wow. There you go. It is. How's the itchiness?
It's in that phase right now.
Do you have one like a beard brush? Those are nice.
It's not that long
yet. No, but just for the scratching aspect. We already have questions dropping in, and feel free to put your questions or comments into the browser of your choice. If you're here to troll us, we will be happy to engage with your comments as well.
That's what we said.
Yes, not afraid of the trolls. Let's see. All right, so start with the first question here. What symptoms can you get from a failed water pump on a B9 S4?
Most common on those is it's an actuator on the pump that basically is kind of like a bypass for it to engage and disengage the impeller. It actually engages a backing plate, but either way, what fails is there's a seal that is around that piston, and then when it draws vacuum on it, that seal will fail, and it'll actually vacuum up coolant from the water pump into your vacuum system, which is also tied in line with your wastegate and a bunch of other stuff up the stream until you get to the intake. So
a coil pack issue?
A coil pack issue? I mean, it could leak thereabouts.
Yeah, definitely. There's cases once water travels at vacuum, it'll seep out of the valve.
Yeah, so
on top of cylinder one.
All those vacuum actuators have little vents on them for when they cycle. They've got to kind of burp out the the pressure of one side or the other. And once that's full of coolant or getting coolant into it, it'll start just dribbling coolant wherever it's venting. And one of them is on top of the cylinder head. So it can be all kinds of weird, fun issues that you wouldn't think would be related to a water pump failure. That is pretty common on these things. It's all the earlier models. It's kind of 100% issue. It'll get dealt with at some point.
Yeah. All right. Someone says, first of all, thank you for all these sessions so far. You're welcome. Glad you've enjoyed them and you're here. My question is, will there be any upgraded plug-and-play oil cooler for the RS5? That's something we've discussed. We've tracked our RS5 very hard and haven't necessarily needed the oil.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the engine coolant itself.
Yeah, engine coolant.
We've talked about that a bunch.
Which is tied to the oil cooler.
It is tied. One can help the other, but I can't off the top of my head remember what our peak oil temps were last time we were out.
We are working on some oil cooler options for the B9 chassis in general, so you could see something coming. We're also working on bigger radiators and cooling for the B9 chassis as well, because that's what's really needed. What gains can be expected on a 034 TCM tune on stock engine?
That's really going to depend on the platform. Normally, you would need an ECU tune as well to get the maximum gains because all the shift points get moved up. But we've done some with a stock ECU. So, knowing more about the platform would be beneficial, but in most instances, you're going to get faster shifting, raised shift points, launch control enabled, that kind of thing. So, they can have pretty big benefits, but I can't answer much more specifically without knowing what platform you're talking about.
Yeah.
And usually it's paired with an ECU file.
Is there a Kli-Max prize for people at altitude?
Like
the highest altitude,
like a scale. We're just gonna like the Mile High Club. Is that what we're talking about?
That's for the contingency thing.
The contingency stuff. I don't think we're doing a sliding scale on that. We never talked about it. So I mean, you can run the contingency stuff we offered, and you beat it.
Yeah. How do the Pauter rods compare to the new IE rods for the B9 S4? Excuse me. I glanced the IE rods. It's their standard. What would be considered an H-beam style rod. The Pauter rods are an I-beam rod. It's a little most aftermarket forged rods are H-beam, which is basically, if you imagine like an iron girder, an I-beam kind of girder. That's basically what the profile of the rod.
You mean an H-beam girder?
Well,
that's
I think they're called.
In construction, it's called an I-beam. In connecting rods or whatever, it's called an H-beam, and then an I-beam is actually a cross beam. It's kind of.
But the I-beam Pauter rods are basically it's a really flat, rigid forged portion with a rib that goes down the middle. So it does add strength and stability and all the dimensions that a rod needs to be. We like the Pauter rods. It's a premium product made in the U.S. The IE rods are like a Chinese forging. I think IE does some amount of processing in the U.S. Not to saying there's anything wrong with that. We're going to come out with a line of rods similar to IEs, which are a Chinese forging that we then process and QC here in the U.S. This is a scat rod. We've been selling those for 15, 20 years. So I think the IE rods are good. There's nothing wrong with them. If you want kind of a premium American-made, like something like a Pauter or a JE or a Carrillo type product, that's what we're offering. We will come out with a less expensive line as well for more cost-conscious people. And the point is these rods just need to be stronger than the stock and support the power levels needed. Let's see. Recently tuned my B9 S4. Doesn't feel like I've gotten the power numbers I paid for. Could this be because I don't have an intercooler? Yes.
That will certainly impact things, and it's going to depend on climate and conditions and how you're running it. If we're talking just like a single gear pull or trying to go for a quarter mile rip, you'll certainly be impacted in like a full quarter mile pull with a stock intercooler.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the rated power for maybe half of a pull or whatever, and then you can look at intake air temp charts for the factory intercooler, and about halfway through the pull, air temps are unacceptable, and the ECUs now pulling timing, dropping boost, trying to deal with the really hot intake temps. So you're right. You're not getting the advertised power level.
Well, no, you'll get the advertised power on a dyno pull. Like you want to pull through, yes,
a quick dyno pull.
You'll get it, but in sustained loads.
Yeah, in your driving experience, dynamically, you're not going to get nearly as much power. So you really need to do the intercooler. You'll feel a huge improvement in power.
And again, if you feel there is an issue, reach out to tuning at 034motorsport.com. We'd be happy to take a look at everything and make sure it's all
that's right.
It needs to be.
There could be something wrong, and to Nate's point, we will help you ensure that everything's acting normally, and we can also verify that your intake temps through your logs are probably way too high.
Yep.
What's the best way to prolong the life of my supercharger intercooler bricks running 207mm dual pulley stage 2+?
It's just a matter of the more boost, the faster you spin in that charger, the shorter the span's going to be. So there's no real magic secret there to making those last. I mean, running. I don't know if you've got an upper or just that lower. That's not too bad if you're just the lower, but if you've got an upper as well, you're spinning that thing pretty quick. So,
yeah, I mean, I think keeping your coolant relatively clean and maintained would avoid corrosion issues.
Corrosion issues, but it's generally just fatigue on the fins themselves.
If you're doing meth as well, that can be
water meth ruins those things quickly.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
avoid that if possible. Yeah. Who's that distinguished-looking guy on the left? So passionate.
The left, which left? Beige left, or that's you? Okay, you're this. Yeah.
Well, I am very passionate, and I'm glad you think I look distinguished. Thank you. Right. Reasonably, I put in a reasonable effort. I actually went out and bought this shirt, and it's the best.
I was just thinking like how little did my hair I purchased for myself.
I do a lot more of it now. I used to have a personal shopper, and which I think I actually look better now because I go buy my own things that I like. But thank you, I appreciate it. Thoughts on getting more power out of the B8.5? I mean, have you seen our catalog?
Yeah, I mean, you're working within whatever supercharger options you're willing to put on there. So the stock charger you can do. There's a couple of guys doing some really good port jobs these days, so you can take that to that level. I mean, it's
the question is: are you stock or are you stage 2 plus?
Yeah, where are you at now? Like, if you're stock and stock hardware, there's all big path ahead of you. You can get all really transform the car. And
there's plenty of people who are making the most power you can make with a B8.5 who are looking for more power than that.
Right,
and that's where Mark Racing Supercharger comes in. Our cams, if you haven't done it, come in.
Cams are pretty big.
Porting option, yeah. The cams are huge. For the money, they're a big improvement.
Yep.
Porting, can make more power, although it can vary.
Yep.
The cams, if you put them in, you're going to make more power in a very consistent manner on every motor.
Yep.
But if you're stock, then oh my god,
yeah, you got to look at the catalog.
We have an acceleration package just for you, and you can go from there. Let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, there's quite a few restrictions on motors in stock form. The intake is very restrictive without modifying it or replacing it.
Yeah.
The intercooler system, same as the B9, is woefully under spec. So the heat exchanger, upgrading that will help dramatically. And then the pulleys and supercharger mods and all that from there on up.
Well, it says this gives me the vibe of Bob Ross on a Sunday morning.
Do you know there's a Bob Ross channel?
Oh,
like full on channel. Like we were staying at a place in Tahoe last week and just had the Bob Ross channel.
Yeah, no, there's Bob Ross fetishes. I mean, he's
that wasn't the channel we were on. It was just Bob Ross doing.
Oh yeah.
They're just happy clouds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's all sorts of happy things going on. Yeah, he's become. It's funny, of all the things in the 80s that could have been 70s.
Right.
I remember I used to watch him when I was a kid. I was probably like 8 or 9.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like everybody did. I certainly did.
I liked, how he would paint the trees, and I was like, oh, I could do that.
The dude's a wizard. You couldn't do it. No, nobody could do it. He's a wizard. Well, so many people can do it.
No, I took painting classes after that, and I used a lot of Bob Ross techniques, and did a decent job.
He's where he starts and then where it ends. 5 seconds later, it's like, oh my god.
My trees weren't very happy compared to his.
Right. I'm pretty sure it's just painted underneath, and he's just scraping it away, and it just appears.
Need to replace rear trailing arm bushings on 8P83. Very nice opportunity. Streetability concerns with the spherical bearing replacements.
I mean, I ran those forever.
Not bad.
Tons of people on them. They're really not bad. Yeah.
The only NVH is if you have like a slotted rotor in the rear, and you can hear it.
Oh, the rotor noise itself a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, they're pretty minimal impact.
They're not bad. The one thing which I would say they're not. The NVH isn't bad. They're just really crispy, and so like when you go over those little reflectors on the freeway, you really feel them.
But your car doesn't try and bounce over to the next lane when you go over them like it does stock. So
it's just a very accurate, connected feel without feeling annoying.
Apparently, we sound like we're underwater. Let me see what's going on here. We're probably clipping.
That's never good.
Yeah, I think we're probably clipping. All right.
Oh, no, we're still clipping.
No, we're good now.
It's tacking out to the red. Oh, it should be below red.
It was quite a bit higher than it was before.
Yeah.
I think we did. All right, let us know if it's
yeah, but I don't think we sell lots of them for street cars. We've had them in so many of our cars here. I've daily driven with them. So they're not bad at all.
It was one of the most surprisingly transformative.
The handling benefit more than makes up for the crispy feeling. So I would say go for it. Our arms are they're pre-installed in an arm, ready to bolt in. So worst case scenario, if you just couldn't live with it, which I don't think will be the case, you could swap them out for some factory bushings. But I strongly recommend ours, and I know you'll like them. I downloaded the 034 Stage 193 ECU tune and Stage 2 TCU tune on my previously APR Plus tuned 2018 SQ5, and it's a night and day difference. You guys are wizards with these cars. Awesome, that's what we love to hear. Yeah, I think that's the broad experience. I mean, when you post on the groups, that's what people, many people have switched from other tuners and said the same thing.
Yeah, we worked really hard to try and make it a zero compromise tune, where it's more power everywhere, drives like stock, feels as refined as possible.
Someone says, can you describe the Kli-Max update in detail compared to the previous TCU tune? Yeah, so we released all the information about Kli-Max last week. It went live on our server on Friday, and I think we don't usually like to reveal, but we've had many hundreds of customers flash it. It was a free update. So we can just go over it real quick. So AMAX shift strategy enabled in all launch modes. Factory is usually only under launch.
It depends on the model. Some are disabled entirely. Some it's only in dynamic, TCU mode. Some it depends on the model. But we set it up so if you're launching, you're going to get an AMAX shift in any of the modes.
Faster upshift speeds in all modes, AMAX and non-AMAX, are faster, more aggressive shifts. Shift points optimized in wheel slip situations in all gears. So that means it will stay in gear longer if need be, or it'll shift at some point.
Yeah, it should dramatically reduce, or it does dramatically reduce the short shift you get if you're on low grip or coming out of a corner and you get a little bit of wheel spin on any not even a ton of wheel spin. If it had any wheel spin before, it would just grab the next gear almost instantly. So,
which everyone's experienced that.
Yes, yeah. So that's basically been resolved. And then
re-engineered clutch clamping control. A lot of this Kli-Max update is going in and tuning and calibrating the code the way it should have been from the very beginning, as if it was from the factory. And what happens in the aftermarket is, because in most cases aftermarket tuners have limited access into the code or have limited ability to re-engineer the code, then there's a lot of band-aids and workarounds in these tunes and calibrations. Which we try really hard not to, but in some cases you literally have no choice. And
if you can fix it in the calibration, or you can do it correctly in the calibration, that's by far the best place to do it. It's going to be the easiest, the most straightforward.
You mean in the base code.
If the code's good and you can do what you need in the calibration, then do it there.
But a lot of times what's done in the calibration are workarounds. It's not the right way to do it, but you're kind of tricking, or you're accepting some pretty big compromises. So you have faster wide open throttle acceleration than stock, but then things like smoothness aren't there, or safety features get turned off, or the ECU doesn't really have an accurate data of the actual real operating conditions. Where we see this the most is these tuning boxes, the plug-in tuning boxes. They literally keep the factory ECU stock, obviously, right? And they just trick the signals to the ECU. Can you make more power? Sure. Can you get faster acceleration? Sure. Is it safer? No. Is it smoother? No. How's the shifting? It's worse, So you make you trade some better things for some worse things, and you kind of end up in a new situation where the car is faster than it was before. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make the car faster and smoother and shift better and safer, and we want to add everything and have you give up nothing. So this was not an easy thing to do, to go in and re-engineer the base code and how the ECU functioned. But in order to enable AMAX, in order to have faster shifts, in order to have better clamping and more accurate clamping in all operating conditions, in order to do all these things, it took us years to rewrite this code and truly fix it from the ground level up. Nobody on the market has this. No other B8 tuner on the market has this type of code and programming in their B8 ECU or TCU tunes.
Yeah,
nobody does. We know they don't. And there's a lot of our competitors have enthusiastically been attacking and trolling us the last week, even leading up to this. Pretty unprofessionally with no substantiated claims at all. So that's why we're going into this level of detail, because what we have here is special and unique and pretty remarkable, and it's a free update to our customers. You don't have to pay anything to get this. Once you have our TCU tune, it was free. So we have customers right now flashing this. We've had our TCU tune for years, going back several years at least. Base coding of DL501 transmission software rewritten to remove potential for gear drop. Yep. So the gear drop issue, which has been in our TCU tunes and everybody else's, and still is in everyone else's, has truly been fixed now. And we rewrote the code to eliminate the possibility or potential for gear drop. Now, there's been some drama over the weekend where we had 2 customers still have gear drop.
Yep. And
we'll talk about that in a second. But to date, 99
more than
+%. I think it's 99.6% of everyone who's flashed it has eliminated gear drop in a way that they've never had before. So there was ways to turn the gear drop off, but you had to basically disable AMAX. And so to have AMAX and no gear drop is a first for this market in this industry. Someone says, I just updated the ECU TCU tune last night on my B8.5 S5. Great work as always. We had one beta tester drop 0.4 seconds off of 0 to 60 from his best.
And quarter mile, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty insane. That in the TCU is shifting the transmission so much faster that it dropped 0.4 seconds to 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So from like 3.4 to 2.9, 2.99 or whatever. It's insane. All right, what else? Is it okay to daily drive on the drag tune on my B8.5 S4?
You can. I mean, it should only be that higher shift points when you're in a launching situation. So the rest of it's going to be normal. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem, but that's going to up to you.
Spoke to Nick briefly, but would love your guys' rundown on Kli-Max with track and autocross usage.
It should help a ton, both.
Yeah, definitely on track.
Mostly because of that, like we spoke earlier about that short shift whenever you get any kind of wheel slip.
Yeah.
Very much a thing in autocross. And on track, depending on the track and your driving style, can certainly be a thing there as well if you're bumping curves and get a little loose coming out of corners.
Yeah, and if you're autocrossing and you're, I don't know if you can even get to the top of second. A lot of
depends.
If you're at the top of first, you'd rather bounce off the rim of them or once or twice as you continue to accelerate than to shift and
that was another point. We had a question about ice racing guys. We've done a couple of ice racing files before that eliminate the upshift in manual mode, and we'll have those files back up. We're rolling out the files, but those will be back up as well if you want a no manual upshift, or no automated manual upshift. So yeah, you literally can just hold the gear.
When is the B8.5 SQ5 Klimax update coming? Literally says update in the question.
No, that's ZF8, so totally different transmission.
We don't have a release date for that, but it is something we're working on.
We're working on that TCU software as well, but it's not not the same effort.
Yeah. And we're very focused on getting this to market, correcting that issue for the 2 users that had it. And,
Yep.
Is there any difference in maps between comfort and dynamic for general driving on the B8.5?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, not that 100% different, but there are maps, yes, for comfort, dynamic mode, sport, and AMAX mode. Like there are mappings and modes for each of those. And the TCU will drive, or the transmission will act differently in each of them. We do make it a more performance-oriented comfort mode, but it's still going to be a softer, more comfortable shift in comfort mode.
As a reminder, we did send out a survey to all of our ZF8 users to get feedback on what they would like to see in an update. So if you got that survey and you responded, thank you. If you haven't, take a minute to respond. The more feedback we get, the better. Nick's been busy. He mentioned on Facebook that you guys were considering bringing the Kli-Max advancements to DL501 on the S6, S7. What do you guys have to say? I'd be willing to get a TC tune from an S7.
Yeah, it's all the same in that we have an S6 in-house that we have the software on. It's been fantastic. Bringing it to market, we've talked about it a little bit. Maybe that market's pretty interesting with the offerings right now.
It's not that much more interesting than the B8 right now.
Yeah, fair. So yeah, we very well may bring it there. There's a lot of custom tuning and stuff going on there. So navigating what the market really needs.
I think that's more of the challenge is all the custom tuning, the DS1 stuff.
Yep. But yes, all of the work that we've done does directly apply to all of the S6, S7, DL501s as well. Is there sound better, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be because it was tacking out pretty hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's been a fall. What ended up being the gear drop issues with the release of the Kli-Max tune? So again, there two users experienced this issue. Nate spent the weekend looking into it in great detail.
Super fun.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and we were up very late on Friday dealing with any concerns related to this. We take it very seriously.
Yeah, no, this is ideally the fix that corrects all of that. So as soon as we get any issue of it, we're jumping in. We're going to figure out what's going on.
So thankfully, the two users that we've been been made aware of contacted us and have been very helpful and logging and giving us any information. And we did figure out what the issue was. Yep. And there was basically something in the code that fixed it for, again, 99+% of all conditions, but two specific users were experiencing something that was outside of all the beta testing we did, all the in-house testing we did. Yeah. And we've now identified what that was. We've now corrected it. We're working with those two users this afternoon to just verify that it's fixed on their cars. Mm-hmm. And we anticipate having the fix completely implemented, as soon as we can verify it. The last thing we want to do right now is we want to say it's fixed and then it's not. Yeah,
we don't want to shout from the mountains because we're not getting, obviously, like Javad said, 99.6, whatever, the people out there that have flashed already, ourselves included, all the beta guys, had no issues.
But we can't replicate those conditions.
Yeah, so we kind of have to wait to the guys that are having the issues confirm, it's all good to go before we go shouting from the mountains.
Yeah, and we're purposefully not stating specifically what the conditions or details are that caused it, because nobody really needs to know that. But with that said, sorry to those two users.
Yeah,
it was unfortunate because it did kind of take away from a lot of the excitement of the release.
Took a little wind out of the sails there.
Yeah, and there were all throughout it, this weekend, which they're just kind of, listen, it's Facebook, it's just a shitstorm, but there were throughout it people posting like their fastest times they've ever done, talking about how, one guy blew out one of his rear shocks. It launched so hard, on 100,000 plus mile.
Rear shock.
People are learning that their factory motor mounts have been broken for a long time and they didn't know. So there's been a tremendous amount of positivity, and again, the results have been very positive, but it was overshadowed by the fact that 2 people did still have the gear drop issue, which thankfully doesn't cause any damage or hurt anything.
It's the same issue, obviously, you would have on any other software with the same situation. But no, we obviously don't take that lightly, and we're going to get it fixed, and believe we have it fixed. We're testing it now.
Yeah, so we'll confirm immediately. Again, we don't want to, we don't want to declare mission accomplished on that without fully testing it.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for your understanding and patience, who've been concerned about this, reached out to us.
Yep. And this just goes to, like, everybody's asking, well, why isn't stuff getting done faster? Why isn't everything getting done? I mean, we tested this for months.
Yeah.
And on a bunch of cars, a bunch of other cars, inside, in-house cars, beta guys. But then, you release it to the public, and you're going to hit every situation and case out there. So it just takes time to get all of that tested.
Yeah, as always, level heads prevail, and so our job is to keep a level head and find out what's really going on and actually fix it. But there's a lot of people online who benefit from stirring the pot, from generating chaos and propagating insanity. I don't know why people do what they do, but
why trolls be trolls.
Yeah, and ultimately it's just trolling, right? So it's the same reason why trolls troll.
Yeah, and I mean, if we say we're going to fix something and it's going to be, the calibration is going to do something, we're going to make it correct and fix it. So, we're not just going to be like, here you go, and then if there's still an issue, it's not going to live.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions about that, let us know. But again, everything's good. Please flash your car on Kli-Max if you're interested in having faster, higher performance shifts.
Yep. And once we do get any, whatever fixes and or updates, we'll send a similar email that we did last Friday, letting you guys know, hey, there's a it'll be very small. It's going to make no difference to any of the normal driving, any of the calibration, none of that stuff. Right. So it's going to feel exactly the same. Just with
if you're concerned about the gear drop in the meantime, then just don't launch your car.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you won't have any problem. Someone says Flash Kli-Max in my stage 2 plus B8.5, and it changed the whole car. Drive is smoother and everything else is so fast. Good job, guys. Yeah. Awesome. Man, that's the feedback.
Most of the updates and changes are not just for launching. It's all of the other driving and feel and feedback and response.
Well, it's because the TCU is now coded how it's supposed to be. It's functioning without any kind of workarounds or band-aids or anything. If I don't have Audi drive selected on my B8 while I have access to Kli-Max, etc.
Yeah. It's not just like one corner of the tune. It's the entire. We went in and remapped. I don't want to say ground up everything, but we recalibrated it. Front to back on the TCU. So it's all drive modes are going to feel different than they did before. I don't know how else to kind of.
Mm-hmm. How much power does your dual pulley kit make on 93 for a B8 S4? This is one of the ones that we don't have published advertised numbers yet. We're sorry. It's on our to-do list.
Yeah, we were just talking about this last week.
But ECS did dyno it when they built a B8 project. Mm-hmm. They made about 410 wheel with that setup on their car.
And that's going to vary a lot. The 2 Plus dynoing is so tricky because it's going to vary a ton depending on what your 2 Plus is. There's very few out there that are like the exact same setups, or what pulley ratio you're running, what intake, what other supporting mods are out there. It's getting pretty far away from the, stage 1, maybe stage 2 standardized update path.
What do you guys say is the torque limit for the B9 RS5 robots? Check out the TTE 720 power numbers we posted. I mean, I don't think we want to go any higher.
No, we're
managing the torque on all the B9 files to be below any safe torque limit for the rods. Once we are in the process of putting rods and motors, and we will, over the next year, we will be releasing updated tunes that take advantage of the additional strength of rods. And it may not necessarily increase peak horsepower, but it could and should increase area under the curve, more torque, things like that.
Yep.
Are the hard gear shifts on Kli-Max normal for the extra clamping force, faster gear changes, or should I be looking for a broken engine mount, bad transmount, etc.? Other than that question, Wicked TC team, thank you guys.
It should be a nice, firm, crisp shift, not a
if it sounds like you have a broken motor mount or transmission mount, then definitely please inspect your vehicle.
But no, it shouldn't be.
Like Nate said, it shouldn't feel. It should feel like it's supposed to be that way. There's a very, very high chance you have a broken motor mount, given that you have a B8 or a B8.5. I mean, those mounts started failing pretty quickly, like 50,000 miles.
Yeah, and it should be nice and smooth, very, very almost seamless transition at light part throttle. When you're really into it, you'll feel the shift. It'll be like a just click into the next gear kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be this big event. It should just be bang in the next gear, moving on with life.
Is the tune able to detect change in gas quality? For example, I get gas from a Shell station, 93 octane. However, I noticed a difference when I filled up from a different Shell station, also 93.
I'm not sure what vehicle. Most everything does have a set of adaptation tables, you could say, that the knock channels will feed into.
Even the Audi 80 2.3 NG motor had an adaptation.
It did, yeah. It didn't last after you turned the key off, but it would.
No.
It would adapt a little bit.
But if there was enough detonation, it would switch into a different timing lap, and I would be able to feel it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there to some extent, yes. If you have a poor quality gas or some extraordinarily high achiever pump, you might feel a difference. And there are timing adaptation tables, and again, I don't know what platform you're referring to, but basically, the modern stuff will have.
I'll give my no BS opinion here is that the chance that the Shell gas being higher octane or better quality than the other gas station.
I think you said the other Shell station, like it was two different Shell stations.
Well, okay,
which
even more skeptical, but if you're getting gas at the come and go versus the Shell, gasoline is a precisely manufactured, heavily regulated product.
Yep.
If you don't believe me, go look up your nearest oil refinery, gasoline refinery near you. It's an incredibly complicated facility to produce gasoline, and it's produced to the highest standards. Let's put it that way. So what Shell does, or Chevron, is they add things to the base gasoline, which is 93 octane, laboratory verified, manufactured as precisely as anything has ever been manufactured on Earth. And so you can get different kinds of additives, different cleaning agents, things like that. But I don't believe, I'm a very skeptical person, and I always try to be conscious of my bias. And in 20 years of tuning, I've really never come across a bad tank of gas or a low quality tank of gas from some gas station. Now, one time we had a what was it? It was an E85 station that.
In San Jose, they put diesel in the E85 ground tank.
So instead of getting E85, you got diesel.
That was bad,
and that the car wouldn't even run. So, but this idea that the premium gas is 93 and the Joe Schmuckatelli station is only 91. I don't really subscribe to that. I would have to see proof of that. I don't think that's actually a thing.
Yeah. And if they have some careless guy filling the tanks, maybe, and they cross up the tanks,
that's different, right?
That's different.
That's a freak accident. But as far as there's oil refineries. Like in our area, there's one in Richmond, and everyone gets their gas from there. And then Chevron can add stuff to it as well. But it all kind of comes from the same place. I mean, just by nature, nobody's like, the gas stations around here are all getting their gas from the same place. That's just how gasoline is distributed. Chevron doesn't have a refinery on the East Coast that ships gasoline. They don't have their own refineries. Not that I'm aware of. So, thinking about switching back to 93 from E85 Stage 2 Plus. When I switch back to 93 Stage 2 Plus, is there an increase in fueling, or is it similar to 93 Stage 2?
Not sure I'm following that question. Do we know what platform?
Yeah, B9.
Oh, B9. No, it's going to be the same.
B9.
They're the same. The 2 Plus just accommodates the fact that there's a high pressure fuel pump upgrade in there.
Yeah.
But the actual fueling requests and whatnot are within what the stock pump can do.
Yeah, because on gasoline there's not any additional fueling required on 2 Plus. The 1 Plus and the 2 Plus are there to provide additional fueling for E85, which maxes out the fuel system. But gasoline, even our highest power gasoline, doesn't need the high pressure fuel pump. Not like the 85 does. What makes the early K-line DQ250 different from later transmissions that you offer a DQ250 tune for? Anything mechanical?
Depends what you call mechanical, but the processor itself is totally different, and it communicates only over a much older, it's called the K-line. It's an old serial single wire transmission.
So it's electronic.
It's electronically different.
Which is physical.
As far as the TCU and its workings, they're close enough. There's no real mechanical difference that I would say makes one better than the other. They're just more of a pain to flash is the biggest thing.
Let's see. There's
a lot of questions here.
I'll touch this real quick. If you're interested or concerned or curious about B9 blown motors, we have lots of lives that we've committed to that topic. Really, nothing has changed since then. If you want to go, or Sean, if you can link back to our standard output and high output update, going back whatever. When was that? 6-8 months ago. But yeah, these are some questions that come in. Someone says, can you fix B9 Stage 3? We have. There's nothing wrong with B9 Stage 3. Our B9 Stage 3 is safe. We do not have like wide or broad or consistent blown motors with our Stage 3 tuning. We even offer a standard output file and a high output file. If anyone's concerned about anything related to their motor, they can run the standard output files, which are still a ton of power, very fast. Or you can push things a little harder with the Stage 3 high output. I'm not aware of anyone else offering that. Someone says, why are there so many reported blown engines on the B9 platform from tuners on the 5.6 cylinder? Claims of Audi issues. What tune is the safest overall? It seems like Mario posts a blown motor from 034 weekly. All right, let me just address the Mario issue. Mario is a proven liar and a troll. He's literally posted fake draggies and been called out and found out. He's lied about multiple other things. I would kind of take anything from Mario like that Putin is, criticizing the U.S. for things and posting. Why is Putin posting bad things about the U.S. every week? There aren't that many reported cases of blown engines on 034. There's been a number that Mario posted that were disingenuous, that weren't. We were already aware of it, and it wasn't caused by our tuning. It was something else that failed, and he blamed us. Mario is essentially our competitor. He'd like to think so, and so for him to discredit us can potentially bring more business to him. We are the kind of the king of the hill, if you will, of the B9 tuning market. And so if he can discredit us, maybe some of our customers will come to him and he won't have to be a chef as much because he's like a catering chef on this. That's his like actual.
Yeah, we have like protocols and procedures. If we get any reports of an engine issue that our support staff and whatnot, and red flags go up, things we get notified. So Yeah, I would have a hard time believing like all of these are happening without any contact to us at all.
Well, we are aware of any blown motors. Customers contact us, and we always go through our standard engineering process. In some cases, it's related to failed injector. In other cases, it could be related to physical mechanical failure of the piston because it is a stock piston. But there's nothing in our tuning that we've been able to point to that is like too much timing that's causing detonation that's blowing these motors or things like that. The question was, whose tune is the safest overall? I'll state absolutely our tune is the safest on the market. Integrated Engineering is the one that blamed Audi, saying that Audi had issues in their tuning. That's as far as we've looked into this extensively. It's a made up claim. They haven't been able to support it.
I haven't seen
in any way,
any substantiation,
and they've kind of just disappeared. Off the B9
everything
visibility. They've basically hardly been saying anything lately. A lot of tuners, I won't say who, have customers sign NDAs when they blow motors so they don't talk about it. So in some cases, the tuners that are actually causing the most issues, you're not hearing about those because they're saying, we'll replace your motor, but if we do, you have to sign this NDA. We don't do that. We've never paid anyone not to talk about anything. For us, it's like, if somebody blows a motor, if there's an issue with our tune, it's something that we have to fix. Yeah. So we get out there and fix it. And for us, we would like the community to know that when we cause a problem, we fix it. We stand behind it. We don't try to cultivate some fake image of perfection because that doesn't exist. So the reality is it does get out there. The information gets out there. People do talk. That's okay. Our job isn't to worry about that. It's to get in there and fix the problem. So that's what we do.
Yeah, if there's something to fix, we're going to fix it.
Anything else, B9?
Just like this guy.
Which one?
Oh boy.
Hold it up.
No, you don't.
Says, not mad at you guys. This drama is annoying as fuck because I feel like it takes away from actual technical discussions that can be had within the hour.
Yeah. That's been one of the biggest problems is all of these claims are made with like just zero follow-up.
Well, and again, they're made by people that troll. They're made by our competitors who have, a vested interest to attack us or kick us when we're down, which has been happening this weekend. Mm-hmm. Over 2 people that had the gear drop issue. So, for us, And I'm constantly reminding the team, like, we have to keep our eye on the ball, which is the technical engineering aspect. It's not easy when you are trying to, like with Nate and the team are doing industry-leading engineering and technical engineering, all while being attacked and called into question, being called names and things like that. So we do have to address it just because, it's important that we set the record straight, and we do... we need to make sure that the truth is out there along with all the bullshit. So that's why we're here. I don't come on here and talk about this stuff to badmouth anyone or attack anyone, but those people are attacking us constantly. And so it's important that we reserve the right to speak about what's actually happening from our perspective and our position. So sorry for all the drama. Hopefully it's at least a little interesting watching from the sidelines, like maybe like a good reality TV show is, but our goal is to do engineering here, and that's what we're always focused on. Someone says the only time I've ever seen bad gas is when the tanks are in a poor state of repair and water is leaking in. Yeah, and I mean I don't know what it's like in other states, but in California, there's constantly gas stations are being shut down. They dig the whole thing up, and they have to maintain the tanks. It's California is very strict from an environmental standpoint on making sure that no leaking like that occurs.
Yeah, I know when I was in the East Coast, before I moved out here, there was a big requirement. They had to dig up all in-ground tanks, move them above ground.
Yeah,
for a big thing.
For a while, there was lots of gas stations going offline. So gotta mute get some notifications here.
Oh boy.
Do you recommend an intercooler or a stage 1 tune after getting the S34 intake for the B9 S5? Yes, absolutely. And we'll be very honest and transparent about that. Is our intake on a stock tune won't make any more power. It will flow more air, but the ECU will simply correct the engine operating parameters to target the factory power level. And that's the way the factory ECU is programmed, using like a torque request protocol, which is what it's called. So our stage 1 tune, we go into the ECU and we say, you have permission to make more power if there's more airflow available. The factory doesn't allow the engine to do that. So if you want to get the power potential of your intake, of your intercooler, of things like that, then definitely combine our intake with the stage 1 or stage whatever tuning of ours that you prefer, and you will be blown away at the difference. The one thing the intake will do on a stock motor is give you more intake sounds, so you'll hear them.
It will make it more efficient. You're going to have your intake temps will drop, so you'll have more sustained power with just an intake. But the peak power is not going to be changed really.
Are you well stocked on the end user flashing kits? I ordered last week and still has not shipped. We are. I don't know why that would be.
I'm not sure when last week. It was like a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Thing, or if it was we have those in stock.
If you bought on Friday, and I don't know if company shipping yesterday. I wasn't here, so
we did. I believe FedEx picked up yesterday.
Okay. It's also very possible that it did ship, and sometimes our email tracking update system can take an extra day or two to send you the shipping confirmation, but that doesn't mean it hasn't shipped.
Yeah, no, they're in stock.
They're in stock, and they should be shipping in our standard 1 to 2 day.
Yeah, normally it's the next day.
Yeah, or same day if you order them in the morning. The TT810 is a riot, by the way. Did a 10.1 full weight on street tires this weekend. Just wanted to share. Damn, that's
ripping.
That's really fast.
Yeah, he ran it on accident. It's like, I'm going to go and see what I run.
I hate when they're on 10.1s on accident.
Wow. Imagine if you actually tried. No, you're right. It is a riot. It's fun. So yeah, glad you're having fun with it. That's the entire point.
Yep.
Do Dynamic Plus lowering springs for the Mark 7 GTI break my shocks? No. Our lowering springs, which are proven for many years on the GTI and all the applications, are designed to work with the factory shocks and struts. Those do fail on their own. They're not lifetime. I mean, they last a long time, but no, there is nothing about our springs that cause the factory dampers to fail. Real quick, any plans to make 034 SPI compatible with Apple CarPlay? We've addressed this quite a bit. We do have plans, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and it's the CarPlay ecosystem and the Android Auto ecosystem are very locked down on what they let you display. So we'll probably have something up there, but it's not going to be like moving live gauges and all that kind of thing. There's a huge delay between the devices, but also just their ecosystem blocks you out of being able to do that in a lot of cases. We'll get what we can on there, but it's not going to be probably a full gauge back.
Oh man, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're not getting through everything, guys.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, well, update questions.
Yeah, those are update questions. I keep getting a low coolant level code pop up, but I have coolant. Every time I open the cap, a bunch of air comes out. This has been happening for months. Any thoughts? B9 3.0 T.
Yeah, B9s can be a bear to delete properly.
It could be related to that. I don't know what stage you are, but one of the consequences of going full stage 3 and being closer to the limit is you can start stretching the head studs, the head bolts, which will let little bits of combustion pressure escape past the head gasket into the coolant system. And so that's when you can pressurize your cooling system, when you're doing power pulls and things like that. As
far as air getting out, that's anytime you have a coolant system up to temperature, there's going to be pressure built up in there.
Yeah.
So that's completely normal. The air at the top of the reservoir will compress. If your coolant level is dropping a ton, and then when you burp it and it comes back up, that usually indicates that you've got an air bubble somewhere in the system. So that's yeah, some air getting out is normal. If your coolant is dramatically changing in level, you likely have a bubble somewhere.
Yeah. So, but we do offer head studs for that motor.
Yeah, if that's what's going on.
It's not a cheap, easy thing to do, unfortunately, and it's pretty rare out there in the customer base. In-house, we've been putting studs in all of our motors because we push them so hard, especially during the development phase. But it is happening out there, so it could be related to that, or you may want to take it to a shop and have them help you pressure bleed it. Thanks for the live streams, guys. I have a quick question. Can you launch in second gear on stage 2 ECU and TCU?
I don't know what platform again. So when you guys are asking questions, please make sure you get it there.
Yeah.
If we're pretending it's B9, we've talked about it. We can set that up. We haven't found it to be quicker than what we have now. So
yeah.
If we take another whack at it and we determine that it is a bunch quicker, sure. But right now, no, we don't have a second gear launch. So. Stage 3 on
a P-Max?
Kli-Max GTI.
Yeah, I don't know what that question means. That's the first I've heard of anything related to that.
I don't know. It's a ton of wheels. That would be my assumption.
Let's let them keep working with tuning support. I don't know what more we can say here, given that I don't even know about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that question refers to. So.
Yeah. Given that you are an off-the-shelf tuner, what would you say your limit is as far as supporting the B9 platform? Will you be supporting a full-frame turbo kit in the future? Where do you draw your line? When is custom tuning necessary? Well, I'll say custom tuning is never necessary. This is a false idea that's been falsely propagated, false idea that's been like Mario and some other people have been pushing this. Our off-the-shelf tunes are better than any custom tune out there. The only place that a custom tune could benefit is if you have a custom hardware configuration that no off-the-shelf tune like ours supports, then you literally don't have a choice. Right. You have to get custom tuned. But you would always choose an off-the-shelf tune like a 034 tune if the custom hardware configuration was available.
It wouldn't be custom at that point. But yeah, whatever given hardware configuration, an off-the-shelf setup is going to have way more development testing and research done on it than a one-off custom file.
It's like, not just because it's custom doesn't mean it's better. The problem with custom tunes is they have a very short, limited amount of time. Even if a custom tuner spends 3 days on your tune, our B9 tune has now been in development for years, many years. No one in the custom tuning realm with limited tuning capabilities, so they're going to be relying on like a very limited tuning resources with very few tuning tools that you need.
That's the biggest point. We're not trying to say that they can't tune or they don't know what they're doing, but having access to the low level, both the internal software of the vehicle, we have all of our own logging and data collection tools. And it's just these tools that don't exist anywhere on the market.
Just the logging and data collection tools that we have alone is more than anyone else has, certainly more than any tuner, custom tuner.
For a general custom tuner.
Yeah. So we will continue to support popular applications that we believe, large groups of customers are interested in.
We're definitely not done. We've got a lot of stuff cooking up.
I don't know when we'll get to full frame, but yes, bigger turbos are in the future. Mm-hmm. Turbos that make 1,000 horsepower are in the future. Are we going to support some random Borg Warner something that you're the only one that wants to run? No, there's no business model that can support that for us. So I would strongly suggest to anyone in the B9 tuning community who's interested in making lots of power, wait for the kind of configurations that come from a company like us. You're going to get the best, safest, most well-developed product. Versus striking out on your own and trying to rely on some small shop or some guy who's a catering chef who's like does tuning on the side or things like that.
Someone's asking, what about custom tuning with a true hex editor like WinOS? That has zero things to do with what we're discussing here. Like going in and being able to edit the calibration. I mean, that's literally nothing.
We were just talking about the logging tools that you need in order to do a tune. A hex editor would allow you to do the actual tuning,
the calibration changes.
But what are you going to calibrate? What changes are you going to make? How do you know if those the calibration changes are making the impact or change in the tune that you need or want or is desired? You have no idea if you can't log.
Yep. Are you able to reverse engineer these switch paths, which there are hundreds of thousands of in these ECUs, to determine what and when what modules are in place and what calibration changes will do in all of these operating conditions.
And then there's another universe of, can you even flash the ECU? Just because you can program it doesn't mean you can flash it or do anything with it. So it gets there's a lot more than just tuning. Now, if you install standalone on your car, it's gonna require custom tuning, and the chance of a standalone doing as much or being better than the factory ECU that's already there is pretty low.
With the similar, anywhere even close to similar safety systems and operating condition considerations.
Yeah. So that's just we have full other clip outs of the custom tuning response as well. So I think we're out of time, unfortunately. A lot of good questions this week.
Yeah, sorry guys, we definitely didn't get to all of them.
We'll try to save them for next week, but we'll have the same problem next week.
Yes, it doesn't really end. All right. Thanks guys.
And it looks like there's a lot of update questions.
There are, yeah. It keeps putting those in there.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
See you next week.